Alright, welcome back to Veteran Game, where we keep it real and never pull our punches. Before we dive in, do yourself a favor, hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell so you don't miss any of our brutally honest game reviews and deep dives. If you've got memories of classic brawlers or a roguelite that almost broke you, let's hear about it in the comments below. Today we're stepping into the steel-plated, neon-lit hellhole of Kiborg, a game that wants to mix the best of old-school brawlers with the modern masochism of roguelites. The pitch is simple. You're Morgan Lee, a mustachioed, amnesiac beast of a man, trapped in the galaxy's worst prison, where every death just means a messy resurrection and another shot at survival. And all of this is happening for the entertainment of a bloodthirsty TV audience. Think The Running Man meets Arkham Asylum, with a little Smash TV thrown in for good measure. Let's start with the good. When Kiborg is firing on all cylinders, it's all about smashing faces and looking cool doing it. The hand-to-hand combat is crunchy, weighty, and over the top. We're talking spinning kicks, cybernetic body mods, and special attacks that would make even WWE blush. Land a flurry of blows, send mutants flying across the screen, and you get those tiny moments of classic brawler bliss. Kiborg absolutely nails the vibe, from its gritty, cyberpunk art direction to the way your character ends up looking like he fell into a malfunctioning cybernetics factory. Every run you bolt on new parts, swap out arms for blades, maybe slap on a new robo head and look completely ridiculous in the best way possible. And those cybernetic upgrades aren't just for show. Pick up the right combo of body mods and you'll unleash some wild special attacks or even summon AI allies to back you up. The builds are varied, the attacks are meaty, and every run genuinely feels different thanks to the wild RNG. Sometimes you'll feel like a one-man demolition crew. Other times you'll look like you raided the clearance bin at a robot yard sale. It's fun, it's messy, it's pure video game. But for every high, Kiborg throws a left hook to the fun factor. First up, the controls. They're not great. For a game that lives or dies on tight, precise action Kiborg's movement and timing can feel jerky, unresponsive, or just flat out inconsistent. Sometimes you'll parry an attack and feel like a god. Other times you're mashing the same button at the exact right moment, and you get flattened anyway. Dodging is supposed to get you out of danger, but half the time, Morgan just belly flops into a grenade. The gunplay? Sorry, it's a mess. The game leans harder on shooting in later levels, but the guns barely scratch enemies and the aiming is wonky at best. This would be easier to forgive if the roguelite grind wasn't so punishing. Every death sends you back to the start. Sure, you're a little bit stronger thanks to permanent upgrades, but you'll be fighting through the same handful of arenas, bashing the same meat-headed mutants, just to get bodied by a cheap boss with an attitude problem and a health bar the length of a CVS receipt. Enemy variety is limited, and the environments, while stylish, start to blur together after your third or fourth failed run. Don't get me wrong, there's some old school charm here, and fans of that die, upgrade, repeat loop will definitely find those adrenaline spikes. Kiborg isn't afraid to throw you into the meat grinder, and if you stick with it, there's a real sense of progression as you finally start to slice through waves of enemies like a cybernetic blender. It just takes a lot of patience and maybe a broken controller or two to get there. The story is minimal, but the premise is entertaining enough. You're in a reality show from hell. Every fight is for your life and a chance at freedom, and the only way out is through an endless mob of genetically enhanced psychos. Morgan Lee himself has exactly as much personality as you'd expect from a guy whose best friend is a robotic spiked wheel. Which is to say, not much, but the mustache is epic. For those hunting trophies or achievements, Kiborg does at least toss you some worthwhile challenges, unlocking all the weapons, clearing waves, taking down bosses. But don't expect an easy platinum. You'll have to grind, master every quirk of the combat, and probably cuss out the parry system at least a dozen times. Price-wise, Kiborg comes in at around $25 to $30, which is reasonable for what you're getting, especially if you're craving that old-school arcade pain. Still, for anyone not obsessed with cyberpunk, roguelites, or brawlers, this is a tough sell. There are more polished, more satisfying options out there, unless you're itching for that janky, just one more run energy. So who is Kiborg really for? If you grew up loving games like Double Dragon, Streets of Rage or the Arkham series, and you've got a high tolerance for grind, you'll get some real kicks out of this. If you want a game you can pick up, smash some heads, and laugh at how ridiculous you look in your new cyber arm, Kiborg's got you covered. But if you need tight controls, consistent mechanics, or a story you can actually care about, you might want to look elsewhere. Final verdict. Kiborg is a game that should have been an all-out old-school brawler, but instead, it's a half step between classic and modern that's as frustrating as it is occasionally fun. There's potential here, but it's buried under just enough rough edges that only the most determined brawler fans will dig it up. If you made it this far, thanks for watching Veteran Game, where the only thing we grind harder than roguelite upgrades is the truth. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your Kiborg horror stories down below. What should we review next? Let me know. See you in the next one, unless I get stuck in a neon prison fighting mutants for eternity.